In today's day and age, a poster, a trailer on day one can either get you mileage or you get you trolled. There are people who depend on that, they take the easier route and plagiarize stuff. There are filmmakers who make you do that also. So because of that, people are always out there to look for the closest resemblance to something and create a scene. So you have to be watchful also things that what you're doing. There are people who are out there to just troll you. They will make a similarity out of your poster just to prove their agenda. वो भी होता है. It's easy to ridicule somebody, but it's very difficult to stand and do something where you are really responsible and take the blunt. Hi, I'm Raj Khatri and you can catch me at midday.com.
Hi, and joining us on BTS Stars, we have the poster boy of film posters, Raj Khatri. Hi.
Hi, Natasha.
Like I said, Fata poster Nikla Hero takes a new meaning when it comes to you.
Okay.
And as we know, you have designed stuff like Farzi, Andhadhun, Kahaani, even Bhaag Milkha Bhaag for that matter. Would you like to take us through the process because it's such an important part of publicity?
Designing posters, there are three ways to do it. One is we design a concept and we sketch that concept and then we present it to the client. And based on that concept, we shoot the talent. We shoot the talent in a controlled environment and then we composite with the background images and do all the effects and present it. The second is when the shoot is not possible, we are given a library of images of production stills when the film is going on, which is used to maintain the continuity. So when we get that bank of images, it is in thousands. So we have to sort it out, and most of it is actually non-usable because it's a BTS. There are people talking in between, out of focus, dark, not best lit. But we have to sort out the best ones and then retrofit a concept to it. And the third way is when nothing is possible. This was during the pandemic. Shoot is not possible, stills are not there. And then because today everything is shot digitally, we take the grabs from the content and then try to develop around it. Primarily, I would prefer if we are allowed to shoot, if we are able to shoot, because then we can do really interesting concepts and that gives the best output, I think.
And Farzi is one of your latest works, and
Yeah,
that one really, caught attention. So if you'd like to take us through that, how did that poster?
So Farzi, we were working during the pandemic actually. We started work in the thick of pandemic, and then I think because of the pandemic, the show also got a little delayed. The idea over there was because it was around counterfeit money. So a lot of things we could do with the design of money, the currency in itself. But there were a lot of legal bounding also. We can't do a lot of things because of the government imprint on it. So there was a series of legal things that we had to see. And within that, what interesting we could do, we tried to do. My favorite one is the one that broke the campaign, the first key art, which was the type of Farzi is like different kind of current note has been counted and the actors are in between. So that was the one that I really liked, and I love the show. I'm a big fan of Raj and DK.
Yeah, Raj and DK always have done interesting work. So any inputs coming from them?
Yeah. So I've worked with Raj and DK from long. I've worked on Shore in the City. I've worked on Go Goa Gone, and I worked on Gentleman, the movie, and my team worked on Family Man season 2 also. So we have been working associated with them for long, and they are pretty cool. They are the young guys with really interesting concepts and ideas, and their inputs always, I think, elevates the concept even better.
And you also had two big announcements. So there's Game Changer and Fighter.
It's a big film coming next year, January. That was again when the shoot was about to start. So we used the CGI and a lot of stock imagery. I used it to design the first look. With Game Changer, we have been working with Shankar sir since 2021. At that point in time, the movie was not titled yet. So it was called RC15, which is Ram Charan's 15 production. And we did the first look and we went to Hyderabad, we shot with the actors. So right now, during his birthday, sir had the name in place. And so we did the title, and then to announce the title, we did this. He wanted a very dynamic and cool look to him because after RRR, this is his next film and he wanted to present him in a very contemporary avatar. So that's why we used that kind of look, and the colors are also quite pretty I think very contemporary and English, so it works. Yeah.
And like you said, you've been in the industry for so long. So how have you seen things changing?
In like 2 years, I'll complete 2 decades now. I started off in my early 20s and I'm in 40s right now. So movie posters have changed a lot now. During them, it was just the big faces and title and a scene from the film, which is still prevalent. But today, the audience is exposed to so much international content and international forum on every platform. So you have to always up the game with something new and interesting. And it allows me and my team to always push the envelope, I think. And that's the edge that I try to get it on the creatives that we do. The majority of it is to do with the advent of OTT and the advent of international films coming to India in a big way in the last 10 years. And people have been exposed to a lot of international stuff on online. And so they have been seeing how things can look really sleek and nice and really well done aesthetically. So they won't accept anything below that now. And in today's day and age, a poster, a trailer on day one can either get you mileage or you get you trolled.
Absolutely.
So you have to give your first best foot when you come across. So it's very important to understand internationally what trends are going on in art scene and posters and everything. And of course, we are not exactly in that kind of reign, but we have to adapt to both the worlds, I think. I mean, and back in the day, when we used to do posters, it used to be like actors, movie scene, action scene, comedy scene, or put all the actors together, put a collage, put a big title, done. Now you need a concept poster, you need a teaser poster, you need an announcement poster, then you need the main key art, and then you need the second and third assets, and then you need to sustain the campaign for furthermore. So it's an quite extensive campaign in terms of creatives now, and quite thought out campaign than what it used to be. I mean, I remember in my earlier films, I used to always pitch the idea of a teaser poster, and nobody used to take it. They never liked. It's like, what is the teaser? What does it mean? There's no actor on it. I used to say we should create conceptual stuff, to intrigue the audience, what's coming. But nobody understood that. Now it's a must for every film. Everybody wants a teaser creative to put it out as a date or as a concept to tease the audience. And I enjoy that the most, to create something without the faces as a concept to tell the film in that one frame. It's very intriguing.
Yeah, so that was actually my next question. With OTT coming and the global exposure, so have things really changed there dramatically?
In the West, they are always far ahead than us in terms of threshold to art, concepts, or in terms of headspace, because things have always been moving 20 years ahead of us. Now we are catching up. But the good part at the same thing, I think, is at a state, at a country that we are right now, there are lots to do here, We are scratching the surface. In every genre, I think we can do so much more because they have already done it. The space to do something really unique and original is very tough over there. Here we can do it. We can adapt things from there and interestingly adapt to our platform, our environment, and give it a spin and do something interesting. And that's what excites me to do here. Yes, as I said, being exposed to a lot of international stuff has also made people aware of the quality that they can expect, and they are not expecting anything less. Today you do a bad poster or sadly this profession has been really badly repped because of plagiarism associated with it. And there are people who depend on that, they take the easier route and plagiarize stuff. There are filmmakers who make you do that also. And yeah, there has been chance, and then the agency takes all the brunt for it. So because of that, people are always out there to look for the closest resemblance to something and create a scene. So you have to be watchful also things that what you're doing. In 2023, nothing is original in this world.
Yeah.
Everything is a derivative of a derivative. Something is always done in some part of the form, in some platform, in some way or the other. You have to just take it and I think spin it in a way, change the context or take it in your context and how you can use it, And I think that's what makes it interesting, and that's what will make your creative stand out in the clutter.
Yeah, and like you said, the agency takes the blame,
Yeah.
often. So how do you all handle that trolling? And I'm sure it's pretty.
No, so we
bad,
thankfully we are not among those. We are marching ants and math, as in now we are math as a whole. We are known as the pioneers and the game changers in the industry. So we are not thankfully known for much of that. But yeah, sadly that has been seen in the past. You can't do much, you move on. So much work is happening, you try to do better work in the coming projects, and you try to just make people forget about it. And right now, see, that has been happened in the past. Now we are very conscious about that. If there is any resemblance to something which is to the core, the core concept can't be same. A pose here and there, color here and there, it's coincidental. You can't help it. So if something that is there, then we work it around and we don't present it. We change it, or we try to adapt a new concept, because everything is global. We are global. Everything is like on the same platform now. You can't just copy a poster of John Wick and put it out there and think that you won't be caught for it. It can't happen. Yeah, but at the same time, there are people who are out there to just troll you. They will make a similarity out of your poster just to prove their agenda. वो भी होता है. They'll crop your image to a point that it looks similar to something but not as a whole. And they'll just show the cropped part and then find a resembling image, and they'll say, so all that is also there. People want just easy content, they want views, they want comments on their stuff on social media, they'll just create things. It's easy to ridicule somebody, but it is very difficult to stand and do something where you are really responsible and take the blunt. So people who work in the industry understand, people who don't, they just do this kind of stuff. You can't do anything.
And I'm sure there are filmmakers who want to take control, though it's the agency's job, or rather we say creative situations.
So it is there, of course, it's everywhere there. There are filmmakers, there are film actors also who would want to have a control. But I think for each his own. Some projects are like that, most of them are not like that. Yes, the actors will have a concern with the choice of images we use, because they have their preferences, and certain that we have to get very approved from them. Filmmakers will have their kind of status quo about what kind of zone they want and not. But we have to see on a larger way how we are pitching the film, how we are marketing the film, and what kind of language we are setting it to pitch it to, or what kind of audience. Because a thriller can't always be just pitched as just a generic thriller, because so much thrillers happening on all platforms. What is the hook you can find it? So it's all related to the bigger picture as an advertising campaign, how it's done. The same we do it for film and shows. So according to that, we try to make them understand look at the bigger picture, not just one creative.
But I'm sure that can be tricky, because you got to keep the client happy as well as deliver what you have in mind,
so,
because you're the creative.
Yeah, it happens. So then we say, like, see, let's say there are 5 posters we are doing. So 2 I'll do for you, let the 3 be for us.
How much involved are actors when it comes to posters? Do they have their inputs as well? Do they?
As I said, actors are just involved in how they are looking in the poster. Yeah, if they are producer on the film, then they are very involved, because then they are looking at a larger picture. And if they are only actor, then they are looking at cosmetically. So they are looking at how they are looking, and whatever, they have their input and all. Sometimes good, and not all the time very good. You have to adhere to it. That's how the industry functions. But sometimes you can, talk it out. Okay, we had a middle way. So there's that. Many a times they understand also what you're going for.
And finally, I have to ask you about my 2 favorites. There's Bhaag Milkha Bhaag and Kahaani. I think the little elements really stood out. Of course, you can explain better.
So whatever the concept was, she is looking for the husband in the crowd, but with things and chaos around it, she has created a visage of Ma Durga also, which is incidental. Okay, when you see the film, the relevance is more there, and also the idea that she is a fighter and she is fighting a cause, and how in the end you reveal that she is like Ma Durga, because she's out there to take a revenge, and she is like fearless. So all that had to encapsulate into a concept, into an image, and the chaos of Calcutta. Something that was the first film to put it out in a mainstream Hindi film. Then after that, a lot of Hindi films were based there. So all that I wanted to, and I am basically born in Calcutta. So that's my mother's hometown. So I know that city in a way. So that's like the trams, the wires and everything. So that came around really well. And then we went to Calcutta, we shot the plates, and we wanted the crowd shots. So crowd, I shot it here during the Durga Puja in Bombay, when they were doing the immersion at the Juhu beach. There I shot the crowd, and then we composited all of this together to create that art, and it was quite well received. I remember back in the day. Milkha, again, Milkha was like, we wanted to treat it like like a superhero, but not in the truest sense. Like a larger than life guy who has inspired a generation and who has fought with all this difficulties in his life, and he stood out like a phoenix. So, and there was a line in the song I remember, "Tu bhag milkha, tu hai aag milkha." So that kind of inspired me to do that creative where he's running and he's on fire, and he's running so fast that he's caught fire. It's like a metaphorical leap, a creative leap. It was one of the rare creatives where the changes were really minimum. And we went out and we did it, and it was really all around, and I remember it was also very well received.
Yeah, and Merry Christmas, I'm still intrigued about because the poster is really, the
So
teaser poster is
so Merry
interesting,
Christmas was, of course, during the Christmas we brought it out. So Merry Christmas, last year I was working on it. It's a very interesting and twisted story, like how Shriram sir does it, and I'm a big Shriram Raghavan fan. I had the privilege to work on Andhadhun, Agent Vinod. I share a good rapport with him, which I really cherish, and he's a great guy. He understands posters, he understands cinema so much, and you get to learn sitting with him, even have a conversation. So with him, we were working, and there were many concepts I had presented him, but this was the concept that I loved and he loved a lot. This is basically, the tale is about Merry Christmas. The story is about that one night in the Merry Christmas, on the Christmas Eve, what happens between two strangers. And so that visual of two people cheering a glass which breaks and it forms a Christmas tree, and there's a red wine pouring, says a lot. When you see the film, you'll understand it's all there, what it's trying to say. So that's what I like, if you create something symbolic, something metaphorical, which can encapsulate the 3-hour film into that one frame. So that's the most challenging and interesting part of my craft, I think. So that was interesting, and he liked it, and then we went out as a first creative with that. Yeah.
So other posters that also come to mind are Ashwathama and Andhadhun. So if you'd like to share some details about those.
There were a lot of rounds that I was doing and trying to create a concept based on narrative that I heard from the studio. And something was not clicking, I think, right, Then I got a chance to see the film while it was edited. And when I saw the film, I understood the entire language, what kind of film it is, and how the dynamics have been played between the characters quite nicely. So that allowed me to do a new round of concepts wherein I wanted that quirk, that mystery, and that pulp kind of a feel to come across. And that's when I could design the creative, the key art, the yellow key art. And again, there's a very interesting thing with the colors also. Initially, I was doing it with a very realistic looking creative, wherein the real house and all of it. But the agency wanted a very non-realistic. So that's when we approached to make it look like a pulp novel kind of a colors, because those pulp novels, the cheap pulp novels are there. They use these primary colors, red, yellow, orange, blue. So I took the palette from there and based it around it, and then it became quite interesting, and it's one of the most well remembered creatives that I've done. Ashwathama came to us in late 2020, in the thick of pandemic, when we all were working from home. It is a film, it's restarted now. It's a film that India has never seen ever, the way it's planned and mounted and made to look like, set out to be. So it was very interesting and intriguing, but at the same time the challenge was, we were in the December month, and the VFX team and everything back in LA who were working on this film, they had all gone for Christmas. We had no support, visual support. The film was not shot yet, and there was nothing. We just had a library of images which was based on the references that the director had in mind. So they were also ideally not usable. So we had to create everything ground up based on the concepts. So there were various concepts we worked around, and then he liked two of them. And initially we were supposed to go with only one, but he liked two of them. So he said, let's do both of them, one in the future and one in the past. So then we had to collaborate with 3D artists. So the idea is about a post-apocalyptic world, also a kind of a cyberpunk world, and they both collide together. and this big robotic hand is a resemblance of the world that has been. And also that is a very subtle thing. If you know the story of Ashwathama, he was always guided by Lord Krishna. So I wanted that little hand, the hand is like the Krishna and Ashwathama. So that kind of a thought. And then this robotic hand is resemblance to the world, and the buildings behind is very cyberpunk. And which we had one look test done with the lead actor, Vicky Kaushal, and based on that look test, we created an illustration. I collaborated with a very big illustrator, and then we did a very realistic illustration. And then I composited all of them together. And the second one again was illustration, and we CGI to create that cave, Shiva Bhagwan, Shiva, Lord Shiva's cave, and how the power of the sword is lighting it. So it was two intriguing, very interesting visuals that came out, and very coincidentally, we got, I mean, the turnaround time for the entire thing from the first day of brief to the release of the creative was 18 days. Okay. And 18 days was exactly the 18 days of Mahabharata war. So I always tell my director that this was like a war to me, because for 18 days was very difficult, and day in and night we were working. And I'm glad it came out well, and people really appreciated it, and like it got really a lot of interesting feedback on that. 20 December we started, and January we released it. So it's been 2 years already, and now the film is restarted. It was halted, I guess. So now I think it's gonna go big way, and we get to do some interesting stuff on it.
So which is quite interesting, because most people would assume posters just happen really quickly, and they don't really know the kind of timeline, the research.
So a lot of people, now because of internet, maybe people know there is an agency, artist, and a specialized team involved. But still, a lot of people don't know that there is an separate, streamlined career into it. I mean, I used to also think when I was young that the posters are usually made by the guys who make the film. Maybe the production company only makes the posters and put it out there. I always wanted to be a poster artist from my childhood, and that's why I pursued this profession so much. But I never knew how to approach it, what to do, and how to go about it. I was good at illustration, art, and all of that, and I always loved pop culture art a lot. Packaging, audio cassette covers, CD covers, posters, movie posters, album covers, magazine covers. I used to like that kind of art a lot, and how to go about it. So, so a lot of things I also learned while I was getting into it. So like many people, as you said, may not know. Yeah, okay, it's done by a specialized team. Yeah, that's that. And of course, every creative has a story, every poster, every artwork. When I'm having a conversation with younger kids and we are discussing stuff, like on my page also, if I'm doing a Q&A, then some people would want to pick up certain poster by somebody else and would want a nasty comment by me so that they could play around, and I never give them. Because I say, why are you trolling this guy? This guy must have worked his ass off on this, sitting for 8 hours, 20 hours, 15 hours. It is the people who make them do it is the one that the output is like this. Every designer wants to create the best work, yeah.
Yeah, and any posters from back then that really inspired you to take up this profession?
More than Indian films, I used to love the posters that was done in the West. I remember the poster of Jaws by Roger Castle, the iconic poster where there's a shark coming up and the woman swimming on the surface. I think it's so iconic how it intrigues the film, about the film, how it's bold out there. And that was one of the earlier posters I remember. It's not even, the movie is not from my generation, it released before me. But I had seen that poster because the film, I think, was re-released in India. So newspaper clippings used to come. I remember that. And then there was the movie posters for James Bond films, movie posters that used to for Rambo. So all of these posters I've seen in very bad printed ways, But what I used to love about them was how a small image, which is badly printed maybe, black and white, and can yet intrigue me and give me an idea what this film is going to promise to me. And makes me choose, okay, I want to see this and not see this, and maybe skip this or look forward for this. And that's the best part, I think, about this profession. You get to tell the story in that one image. Yeah, that's the most challenging part. I remember back when we were kids in boarding school, we used to be there. Every Wednesday there used to be Chitrahar on Doordarshan. So if they are showing an old song, they would just show the title. But if they are showing a new film, they will show the poster, and then the song used to come. So I used to just wait if they are showing a new film so I get to get a glimpse of that poster. So yeah, so that mad I was, I used to collect those audio covers and all of that. When you look back, the 80s and 90s had the horrible posters in terms of aesthetic and stuff. But still, from the nostalgic point of view, I really still love them as a kid. Indian films, I would say the era before 80s up till 70s when we were still doing hand painted work. So the posters, most of the posters, Yash Chopra's films, Kala Patthar, Diwar, they were really well done. I mean, I still look up to them in terms of composition, colors, and how the strokes are done. Then there are the posters that used to be done for Raj Kapoor films, for Mera Naam Joker, Bobby. They used to be really amazing. Very old poster by SM Pandit was done for Avara. It was rendered with, I think, airbrushing the way we do it in computer today. Back in the day, it was done. So like there are like great work that has happened in Indian scene. You can just go back and look at it and learn from it.
Like you said earlier, a lot of people don't even know how to go about getting into this profession. So any advice you would give them?
Like any advertising on art platform or commercial art, you need to have a basic know-how about art. And if you have a degree in fine art or a diploma, of course it will help. Specialized into commercial art, and if you are specialized into illustration, far better, because you will have a better hold of human anatomy, and posters are just about humans. So you understand human anatomy, the angle and the dynamics, how to create illusion, perspective, hierarchy and all of that. That is first. Second is storyteller. You have to be a storyteller. You have to love telling story. A story can be told with one paper, one pencil, one image, one point, one dot. And a story can be told with 100 image, 100 paper, 100 people also. You should understand how to tell story for each his own. You should love cinema, I think, the most. You should be crazy about cinema. It should be in your blood. It should drive you. Okay, what I will do for this film. Well, we should strive to create something iconic. Nobody can create an iconic image. It happens iconic with age. But you should strive to create something unique. And then in the process, I'm sure you'll find your way. So that's that. I think having an art degree is good. Illustration based रहेगा तो better है. And of course, like Iron Man, your Jarvis suit is your partner. In this profession, Photoshop is your partner. So you need to know your Photoshop game really well, because it's all about manipulation, images, and all about manipulating and creating digital imagery. So with technology, with AI, with everything coming into it, you should know your tech well. I mean, I'm learning everything every day, keeping myself abreast with the changing times.
And finally, because we also know you're into alternative posters as well, so if any of your 5 favorites, if you'd like to show us.
So recently I saw John Wick and I really loved it. I love the entire franchise actually. So before the John Wick 4 was coming, I wanted to create something for that. So I created an imagery for that, and that I converted into a tribute poster for John Wick 4. There's a poster I had done for Joker, the film, that I really like. And there's a poster for Whiplash, Daniel Chazelle's film. Somebody in the US took it from me and used it as a limited edition print, and that was used in the US also. And then a couple of work I've done for Dark Knight. I'm a big Batman fan. Also recently I did a tribute poster to Good Will Hunting. It's one of my all-time favorite. Apart from this, there's a series I had done back in 2015, which is making a series of posters using just color strokes, like an abstract form, as an experiment to understand how much you can push the envelope. How can people understand or remember a film just by seeing colors? So that was an experiment I did, and that was really well received internationally also. It got published in a couple of magazines and blogs and stuff like that. So these are the few posters and creatives I've done. In the Indian space, I had done a lot of work for old Amitabh Bachchan films. I've made one for Diwar, one for Kala Patthar. I'm working on Agnipath, and I've made one for Dawn also. Dawn I have not released it yet. I'll release it later. One I had done for Gangs of Wasseypur, Sacred Games. So these are like just my unwinding thing. There's nothing is attached to it. There's no client attached to it. There's nothing. It's non-commissioned by anybody. It's just my way of unwinding. I just illustrate, paint, whatever I feel like as my version, which can be symbolic or image based, but a different style, colors, and I just go wild with it. and then I put it out. People like it, hate it, whatever.
And it was very interesting hearing all these takes from you. And thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you.
Subscribe to Midday India. Get direct notifications on all our videos by clicking on the bell icon.